This is a Volvo, but not as you know it. This is a Volvo XC40 Recharge P8. The P stands for power, performance, potatoes, probably. Okay, price and range. This is the important stuff you want to know. After this is done, you can run off and watch Shortland Street. This machine will set you back just under $103,000. And because of its 78 kilowatt hour battery pack under there, you'll get up to 450 Ks per charge. But whatever preconceptions you have about Volvos, whatever images conjure in your mind when I say the word Volvo, cast it all aside, because I promise you this is different. This is the first Volvo I really, really like. As shallow as it is, I've been seduced by this car's drivetrain. 2 motors, 300 kilowatts to each of its 20-inch wheels. It's an electric rocket ship housed in a safe, unassuming Volvo body, and the inside plays down its power as well. It's normal looking, it's comfortable with all the toys you'd expect, plus a load of driver aids, which I'll explain shortly. Now, I've already reviewed the Volvo XC40 P6, which is the same car, although the P6 only has 1 motor and less range than the P8 model, but both have plenty of room in the front. Both have electronic seats with lumbar support, wireless phone charging, 4 USB ports throughout, a fully adjustable steering wheel, and a PSC of 51. Rear seat passengers, however, will find it a bit snug. You wouldn't want to be taller than 6 feet back there, but you could always make them sit in the boot because there's 413 litres of space back there. Plus, under the bonnet there's also a fartment or front compartment of 31 litres. But where this dual motor P8 stands out is the extras you get, such as a panoramic glass roof, which is opened by swiping a touchpad instead of fumbling with old-fashioned push buttons like some Neanderthal. The P8 also has a Harman Kardon sound system, which I'll demonstrate shortly, as well as an air purifier with a 2.5 micron particulate matter filter, plus an electronic boot lid with gesture control, and a 360-degree bird's eye camera system. Yes, you get the idea, it has it all, so enough talking, let's take it for a drive, which is as easy as walking up to the car. The doors will unlock automatically, you just get in, there's no keys, no start buttons, no handbrake, just slap it and drive and go. Now, I've already driven the Volvo XC40. The one I had previously was the P6, which has 170 kilowatts and is front-wheel drive. This is sort of the same car, but like the Incredible Hulk. Because it's got 2 motors, 300 kilowatts, if I put my foot down, it rips its shirt off and reveals its green nipples. Now, I'll demonstrate that power for you a bit later in the video, but right now, in an urban environment, right now, this is an absolute dream to drive. Honestly, it's quiet, it's comfortable, and it has that familiar Polestar tapping on glass indicator sound. The pillars aren't too thick, there's plenty of glass. I've got this massive panoramic glass sunroof, and of course, comfort-wise, I've got fully adjustable front electric seats, and I even have lumbar support, which I can, oh yeah, I can feel it pushing into my back. Oh, that is lovely. And of course I have seated heats in the front, both seats, and of course a heated steering wheel, and I even have a seated rear heat. Now that is something, that's impressive. As for those seated heats, I should point out that it doesn't take a leatherologist to know that these are not actual real leather. Volvo are trying to do their own thing. They're not trying to imitate leather like some car makers are. This feels kind of like, imagine a wetsuit, but comfortable and breathable, which is the opposite of a wetsuit. But yeah, anyway, this feels really good because Volvos in the past, they tended to have more leather than San Francisco in the 80s, but not anymore. They've gone ethical, they've gone vegan. You can't even get leather in these anymore. That's how good they're getting. Anyway, let's lift up the kilt of statistics and reveal some low-hanging facts, starting with the central display. Now, it's 9 inches in size, and 9 inches might not sound big by today's standards, but this one actually complements the dashboard nicely. It doesn't seem out of place. It's got everything you'd want, and speaking of everything you'd want, it runs on its own version of Android, which means it's not only easy to use, it's logical, but it's also really fast. So it's got Google Maps built in, as you'd expect, because it's Android. And of course, because it's Android, it's also connected to Google Play, which means that you can actually load apps onto this car as if it was a giant cell phone. For example, we've already got YouTube here, someone's loaded up Spotify, we've got iHeartRadio. But of course, even though it is Google, it's still got Apple CarPlay. And it has wireless phone charging as well. Although it does struggle to fit my unusually shaped phone. See, I've got a weird phone that I bought online, and Unfortunately, mine is quite long and weirdly shaped and it pops out occasionally. And as for that display, the contrast is excellent, the brightness is superb. Actually, it's brighter than looking at your phone at 3 AM in the morning. That's how bright it is. Now, even though this vehicle doesn't have driving modes like power, normal, or eco, it does have a lot of functionality that you can change by going into the menu. For example, if I click on the settings button, suddenly I've got all these options. I've got driving assist dynamics in which I can go into off-road mode, or I can turn on the automatic speed limiter, and that is a godsend. It'll just keep you under 100, keep you under 50, whatever the speed limit is. And by the way, it has built-in cameras that are reading the speed signs as they go past. So it'll tell me whatever the speed limit is, and it works generally quite well. Other things that are interesting is that this thing has auto-dimming mirrors. Now that's not radical, a lot of cars have auto-dimming mirrors, but this one also auto-dims the side mirrors, so that if you're driving along at night, you're not going to get blinded by someone in a Ford Ranger who inexplicably, they always seem to have high beam lights on. Other options we've got lane keeping aid, we've got roadside information I just mentioned, we've got ready to drive notification. That is a real lifesaver. If you're sitting there and you're daydreaming and the cars in front start moving away from a green light and you forget, beep, 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 it'll beep and tell you, you want to go? Oh, right, yes. And you can carry on. Another thing I can change is the steering feel. Right now, we're in an urban environment, so the steering is as light as possible. I can look at this, easy. Drive it with one finger. However, if I want to have slightly more spirited driving, I can increase the steering firmness. Mild difference, but I can feel the difference. Yep, a little bit more firm. Feels a little bit more racy. And, of course, I can turn on one pedal driving. And if you've never used one pedal driving, what it is I basically came to a stop without touching any pedals. I took my foot off the accelerator, the car slowed down. If you've never used it before, it will feel really unnatural and really weird. However, once you get the hang of it, it's brilliant. Now, how it works is basically it turns the motor into a generator. So as soon as I take my foot off, that power goes right back into the battery as it slows me down. That's fantastic. As I was saying, once you get the hang of it, you'll never want to go back to just coasting because you keep feeling like, oh, I'm wasting all this energy. I should be putting it into the battery. I should be using it. It's brilliant. Honestly, this is some of the strongest one-pedal driving ever. It just makes stop-start traffic such a breeze. Oh, it's magnificent. Oh, and that power. I'll demonstrate that power for you later when I do a 0 to 100 test when we get it out into the countryside. But right now, I'm cruising around as if it's a family car. And that's what it is. It's a family car, and for that, let's have some family-friendly information. Starting with ISOFIX locations for kids' seats, and the XC40 has 2 on the rear seat, which is 120 centimeters wide and also heated just like the front. As for the front, if, like me, you're getting into Volvo buying age, then you'll appreciate the seat lip height, which at its lowest setting is a comfortable 69 centimeters off the ground. As for hauling stuff, the XC40 P8 can tow brake loads of up to 1.8 tons, and if you're going skiing, there's even a little access port into the boot if you're hauling skis, or as they're called in Swedish, snöskidor.
Snöskidor.
See, I wasn't kidding. Now, while some EVs have loud noise generators, the XC40 is wonderfully quiet at low speeds. And something else that sounds good is the Harman Kardon sound system, which, thanks to its separate subwoofer, offers deep, rich audio. But despite those features, let's hit the highway because I have a list of complaints. Yes, I do. No vehicle is all things to all men and women. No car is an island, except maybe the Ford Capri that was named after an island. But regardless, no vehicle is perfect, and this one has some flaws too. Number one being the rear view. It's a little bit obscured. It's not bad, but it is obscured by the headrests. However, Volvo have thought of that, and by pressing a little button on the dashboard, I can drop the headrests right down, just like that. Isn't that ridiculous? I love it. Number two, it has no spare tire, just a can of goo and a pump. And as I found out when I took the Mercedes EQC for a blast in the countryside, much like I'm doing right now in this thing, I ended up getting a flat tire, and the tire repair kit was useless. I had to get that thing on the back of a flatbed truck, which marred an otherwise lovely experience. However, there is a workaround. I'd recommend going on TradeMe, finding a space saver that fits this wheel hub, buy a second-hand tyre jack and a tyre iron. So for less than 150 bucks, you can have yourself a solution when you are going long distance. Okay, next complaint. Because this vehicle is based on a combustion version of the vehicle, it has the transmission tunnel still in the car, and electric cars don't need that. Often, new electric cars that are built to be electric from the ground up, well, they have flat floors. This one obscures a lot of the room in the back, which is a shame. And the last complaint is not really a complaint, it's more of an observation, is the efficiency. This is not the most efficient electric car, and that's probably because it weighs 2.15 tons. It's a chonker. I've so far on this journey used 21.5 kilowatt hours per 100k. And that's relatively high for what is just a medium-sized car. However, now that we're in a 50 zone, the efficiency has improved greatly, or now we're out of the 50 zone. For a while there, I was doing 15 kilowatt hours per 100k, which would give me much better efficiency, much better mileage. I'm more likely to get that 450 k's per charge if I drive this mostly in the city, which, let's be honest, most of you will. But in my opinion, none of those should be deal breakers for you, because overall this car is an absolute dream to drive, especially on the highways. Plus, it has something else that I appreciate, a bunch of unusual oddities. Starting with this. It is an ashtray, a legit ashtray, in a car in 2023. You don't see that anywhere anymore, and the only reason I can think of is that because this vehicle is manufactured in China, it may be a consideration for the Chinese market where smoking is still quite popular. It is interesting. The next thing is storage. I mean, this car has heaps. There's storage, 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 more storage, storage here, there's even storage there, there's storage here, and here, and here, and here, and even storage here. Seriously, this car has so much storage. Another interesting thing on this car, a quirk that I don't actually see on a lot of cars, is that the speedometer goes up and down in individual increments. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Instead of a lot of cars, even high-end cars, that if you accelerate hard will go 1, 3, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60. This one, it actually goes up and down beautifully, individually. Look at that. And the last little oddity is this. You see this dashboard? You see how normal it looks? Just looks like some sort of boring decal, right? Some indentation, some topographical map, whatever. It's boring, but not when you get at night and the cabin lights turn on. It turns in from this grey-black textured finish to some sort of camouflage, army, topographical map thing. It looks fantastic. I love it. You wouldn't have thought so just by looking at it. It just looks black and grey. It's wonderful. I love it. And as I ate up the highway, I got the chance to test this Volvo's lane keeping assist and adaptive cruise control. Okay, let's turn on pilot assist. This is basically adaptive cruise and lane keeping assist. Let us set it just by pressing the button. All right, let me adjust the speed to a maximum of 100. All right, so it's now effectively driving itself. I can relax my hands on the wheel a little bit. Right, how's it going to handle this off-ramp? Will it get confused? Some systems do. Not at all. Not at all. That's excellent. Yeah, it is quite close to the left-hand side of the lane. I've noticed some self-driving or adaptive systems and lane-keeping assist systems, they do have a tendency to cling to the left of the lane. But no, this one's back in the middle now. It must have just seen an instant Kiwi ticket on the side of the road, I guess. It's doing all right. Okay, here comes the truck that entered the motorway before. So I'm expecting it to gently reduce our speed while the lane narrows yet again. Yes, it's doing all of it at once. Very good. This is a very busy section of road. So many changes in markings and cones and traffic, and it's doing it all flawlessly. Excellent. Excellent. All this is very good and very interesting, but what I'd like to do now is give you an example of the strength of the one-pedal driving in this car. It's super strong. For example, when I slowed down from 50 to 10 k's an hour in, say, the MG ZS EV, it took quite a while, and the regen braking in that car is not too bad. This one, however, wait till you see this. Let's test this one. Let me get to 50. Okay. No one behind me, and go. That is unbeatable. That is strong regen. Okay, well, now that I'm at 0, why not test the 0 to 100 time? Let's give it a go. 3, 2, 1, mash. Wow, I love it. Oh, mate. Far out. Oh, it's so deceptive. It's so deceptive. I've been driving this for the last couple of hours, and you think that, oh, I'm just driving a Volvo. It's just a Volvo, nothing remarkable. Then holy heck, that happens. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm now also, coincidentally, on my secret driving road somewhere south of the Bombay Hills. I'm now going to switch it from pilot assist to speed limiter and set the speed limit to 100. Let's see how this thing handles the corners. The steering is set to firm and the road's a little greasy, so I'm not going to go crazy. Oh, good Lord. Oh, I love it. Oh, I keep forgetting I'm in a Volvo. Okay, one thing I just don't understand is how this thing handles so well on the corners and yet is so comfortable on the highways. It glides. You forget you're driving a performance car when you're on the highways because it's so stupidly comfortable. And this is where a lot of cars let themselves down. The Ioniq 5, possibly my favorite electric car ever made. It's got power, it's got comfort, it's got style, but it's not the best handling car ever. This, oh good Lord. This, however, it's just as comfortable. And yet when you throw it into the corners, it is rock solid. Okay, I get it. It's got wide, low profile tires, but that doesn't explain how the suspension doesn't have body roll. Look at this. This is madness. I don't know if it's maybe the combo of the tires, the wheelbase, the low center of gravity from that low slung battery, the weight down there. This thing weighs 2.15 tons. I don't know, maybe it's a combination of the whole lot that makes it feel so good. This is not a Volvo as I know it. What the heck? Okay, here we go. Undulating. Hold on. See, in the previous vehicle I drove, I had to wear my sports bra. This one? How easy was that? Look at this. Bumpy as heck, and it just glides over it. And yet, when I get into this corner, oh, I apologize for some of the inappropriate noises I'm making, but this is staggering. Oh, got some slip on the front wheels there. Okay, let me try and come back down to earth for just a second, because we do have to talk about serious things. It's not just me blatting about the countryside. We do have to talk about charging, and for that, there's good news, because you have options.
Option 1 is the granny charger that comes with the car, but be warned, you're looking at a day and a half for a full charge, so I recommend option 2, which is getting a 7 kilowatt or 11 kilowatt wall-mounted charger installed at your house. One of these would charge your XC40 in somewhere between 7 to 10 hours, and if you're using the Eco Saver plan from Ecotricity, which is the same plan I use, then a full charge would cost only about $17, and that's not bad for 450 Ks of driving. Option 3 is to use one of the hundreds of ChargeNet DC rapid chargers which are scattered right across the country. There are hundreds of them, allowing you to take your XC40 anywhere a car can go. DC rapid chargers, especially the growing number of 300 kilowatt hyper rapid chargers like these, can recharge this car from 20% to 80% full in as little as 25 minutes. And if you've seen the growing number of climate-related disasters on the news lately, then you'll be relieved to know that all of the electricity feeding ChargeNet's hundreds of DC rapid chargers comes from Ecotricity, which is New Zealand's only carbon zero certified electricity provider. That means every single electron feeding this car is sourced from only wind, hydro and solar and nothing else. It's not only 100% renewable, but Ecotricity's prices are super competitive too. Plus, if you jump on the EcoSaver plan like me, then you can enjoy off-peak power all weekend. Like seriously, the whole weekend, every weekend, you can drive for next to nothing, and you can't do that with dirty old diesel. So head to ecotricity.co.nz and save some green while going green. Actually, that's not bad, I just thought of that line now. But anyway, back to this car, a car that I've been gushing over.
Yes, I have been gushing over this thing, and I think I finally know why, because ultimately it's like a sleeper. On the outside, it looks normal, it looks boring, but on the inside, it's a rocket ship. It's the Hulk. And maybe that's some sort of subliminal aspiration that I have I didn't know about, that on the outside I look really normal, maybe inside I want to be the beast I'm not. And this is it, and it's everything I want in a car. It's got range, it's got performance, it's got gadgets, but most of all, it's got insane comfort. honestly, don't let the fact that it's a Volvo throw you off the scent, because honestly, this is a beast. This is a Volvo that I love. Oh, good Lord.